particular, making sure that all of that light is hitting the road, keeping you safe.
Life has trials and tribulations. On your journey they will come test you. Put yourself in a position for somebody strong to come bless you. SigniaGlobe, be stronger with SigniaGlobe. Be soaring with SigniaGlobe. Living in with SigniaGlobe, bless you.
Combined strength, reliability, and stellar customer service. Safeguard your future and put yourself in position with SigniaGlobe Financial.
Put yourself in a position for your blessings to come and flow with SigniaGlobe.
First-time car owner, or you've been on the road for a long time, your wheels and your tires are what keep you grounded. Plus, it's a great way to express your own individuality. So whether you're a truck person and you want one of these 17 different kind of truck tires, or you've got a grounded, it's a great way to express your own individuality. So whether you're everything that you need to make sure you hit the road, looking your best and staying safe.
Over here you have your battery, of course you have your positive and your negative. If you're jump starting your vehicle, if you come out on mornings or even after work and you realize that your car isn't starting and you want to use a battery pack to jump start it, of course that is the preferred technology as opposed to using jumper cables. And another vehicle, you could actually just connect your positive to the positive, negative to the negative, and make sure you turn on your battery pack and then you start your vehicle. And it should start once it is just a battery issue that you're having.
Life has trials and tribulations. On your journey they will come test you. Put yourself in a position for somebody strong to come bless you. SigniaGlobe, be stronger with SigniaGlobe. Be soaring with SigniaGlobe. Living in with SigniaGlobe.
Combined strength, reliability, and stellar customer service. Safeguard your future and put yourself in position with SigniaGlobe Financial.
Put yourself in a position for your blessings to come and flow with SigniaGlobe.
Today we're going to be looking at your tire condition, checking your tire condition, and of course, what these indicate. Let's get a little closer. This particular combination of numbers represents a significant part or aspect of your tire. One number represents the actual width of your tire. The other number represents the height or thickness of your tire. And then, of course, this number represents the size of your rim. And that is typically how you can determine what size tire you need to get when you need to have a tire replaced, or if you are actually carrying the specific or correct tires for your model vehicle.
Life has trials and tribulations. On your journey they will come test you. Put yourself in a position for somebody strong to come bless you. SigniaGlobe, be stronger with SigniaGlobe. Be soaring with SigniaGlobe. Living in with SigniaGlobe.
Combined strength, reliability, and stellar customer service. Safeguard your future and put yourself in position with SigniaGlobe Financial.
Put yourself in a position for your blessings to come and flow with SigniaGlobe.
Now Now, a lot of the newer vehicles don't come with a spare tire. And that's why we at Shine Automotive, we have Tire Fix as our emergency tire repair system, which within about 5 to 10 minutes gets you back on the road without a worry, without a doubt. You could actually fix your own tire on the spot, and it's quick, it's easy, and pretty much anyone could do it. So for those persons who don't have a spare or find themselves in a difficult position, either late at night or in an area where they can't necessarily get help immediately, Tire Fix is the product for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Rochelle Lucas. I am the marketing officer with SigniaGlobe, and thank you so very much for coming into our webinar today. We have some really great guests with us today. We have the Barbados Police Service, and the Barbados Police Service, they're going to be sharing with us their tips, tricks, and all for staying on the road and making sure not to run afoul of the law. First up, we're going to start with Constable Eversley. His name is Constable Kenrick Eversley, and he is from the Barbados Police Service. And he's going to start us off with defensive driving. Constable Eversley. Constable Eversley.
So obviously, if you're speaking, you're muted at this time.
Okay, I'm not sure what's happening with Constable Eversley's mic. Give me one moment, please. Yes, Constable Eversley. So sorry about that. Constable Eversley, are you there now?
Yes, I am. Yes, I
Yes,
am.
Constable Eversley is going to have a conversation with us about defensive driving. Sorry, my camera's off. About defensive driving on Barbados' roads. So he's going to take it away now.
Hi, good evening. Yes, I was asked to speak to you a little bit about defensive driving as it regards to our roads. I was asked to highlight two areas. Quickly, I'm going to go straight in. One of those areas would be driving in adverse conditions, and one of those adverse conditions I'm going to really highlight will be driving in rainy weather, because we know how that does affect us in Barbados, and when we do as all travelers, how that can actually be. So I've prepared a slight slide. Hope you can bear with me as I go through it, as we go right ahead. So, like I was saying before, we're going to speak a little bit more on defensive driving, and that actually starts with thinking safety first. One of the aspects we actually like to start off with is scanning all around your vehicle. And that scanning all around your vehicle is basically you ensuring that each part of your vehicle is working well. Working well, it means looking at your wipers, looking at and make sure that your brake lights, your headlights, all those things are functioning properly. And the next aspect I'm looking at also is being aware of your surroundings. And that surroundings means when you're actually traveling on the road. Yes, please.
Sorry, we're not seeing your slides.
Oh, my dear, my apologies. Let's see what's going on here.
I know that you would have created some lovely slides for us, but we're not able to see them right now.
Let's see if there would I can get them up for you. Let's go again.
If you wish, you can email them to me. I can show them for you.
I think it's going to, here we go. Let's see if it comes up. Are you seeing my slides now? Are you?
Yes, we are.
Yes, there they are. Thank you so much.
Okay. Like all things do occur. Like I was saying before, going straight off the list again, like I was saying about safety, scanning your vehicle. Then the next one would have been surroundings, being aware of surroundings. And then the next point I would have just been about to touch on, it would have been potential hazards. And all those potential hazards are the ones that we are always not cognizant of, and that would be when you're driving, we're thinking about the size of your vehicle and the blind spots in your vehicle, and that may be the outrights or the little things that we sometimes put in the vehicle that will become distraction or block our view when maybe actually changing a lane or some other aspect of that. So the next one I also want to highlight is don't depend on other drivers, and that is a standing rule. We cannot think for other people. We got to think for ourselves, and we got to make sure we drive that way by thinking for ourselves to ensure that we go through all situations and come out safely. This next one I'm going to look at is the 3 to 4 second rule. This is a rule where you are actually going to be probably maybe driving on the highway, and you pick a point on the highway where the vehicle ahead of you reaches that point. And when the vehicle reaches that point, you can count 3 to 4 seconds. And if you have reached within that 3 to 4 second point, you know you're actually traveling at a good speed and a good distance behind that vehicle. Now, the next point is a follow on from the 3 to 4 second rule. Well, after you have established that speed, you would have now established a maintain and a following distance and time. So that will help you throughout your traveling to know that you have a good distance and speed traveling throughout, so that in any event, any stop, you have a good stopping distance. Now, a planned escape route is one of the things that all drivers should have. In the event of anything should happen during your traveling, you should always have a plan ahead where a route you can either exit or you should turn around to get back to your destination safely. Now, cut out distractions. That goes in same without things. Not only mental, because we may be distracted while driving, and that is one of the key things that we significantly forget about in our driving, and that type of distraction. Now, This next slide here goes on to think about things that would affect you, your vehicle, and your driving, and the functions of that vehicle. And that would be sun glare. In Barbados, we started to go over peaks and we get a good glare windscreen, and that will actually blind us. In Barbados, we may go into like St. Joseph area and we may encounter a little bit of fog, depends on the rainy conditions or between that hot and weather, hot change to weather, and may get some actual fog. Rain. Now we're encountering the rainy season just about now, and we know that's going to affect us. Now, one of our videos on our sponsors here, we would have talked about a little bit about traction. And remember, your vehicle traction is divided in three things. That would be steering, braking, and acceleration. So we want good tires on our vehicles. Now the wind. The wind, we may say that we don't really get that high gust of wind unless it maybe in a hurricane. But maybe when you are traveling along the East Coast Road, you will actually get a good gust that can affect your driving. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next slide, and that would be actually going full onto it. And if we think about driving in the rain, we think about the conditions that would directly associate with higher accident rates. For us in the force, that is one of the conditions that we do find out happening, that during the rainy season or when a little bit of wet weather, we get a lot of accidents occurring. So don't matter what weather you are actually having, you're going to heavy downpour, it's mostly driving situation a driver can encounter. Don't matter the country or you live in, or almost certain that you will actually having, you're going to heavy downpour rain at some point. Knowing how wet this road and reduced visibility affects your way the vehicle's handle and will help you drive safely in rainy weather or any other form of adverse conditions. So going back to that list again, we say we double check our cars to make sure that all equipment is going well. We slow down when we're doing our driving, don't care what we're encountering. Turn on your headlights. Now that will be a key point in driving in adverse conditions. Use your windshield wipers. Maintain a safe distance between your cars and avoiding heavy braking. Watch out for standing water. And standing water is any still water that we may encounter upon the roads of Barbados, all right, or any roads that we go along. Let off the gas when hydroplaning, and hydroplaning is an effect that happens when any water gets between your tire and the surface. All right, and the next point we're going to look at is ventilating our car, and that basically will be ventilating means we'll be looking at our AC systems and the way it can cool down this car in any event. So like I was saying before, ensuring that your car's equipment is in good working order before encountering rainy weather. Check the headlights, tail lights, windshield wipers, and make sure that they will work efficiently when they are needed. Also check the treads for your vehicle tires. Boiling tires can severely reduce your traction on the wet road. Tires should at least have a tread depth at least 2 to 2/3 of an inch. Okay. Slow it down, like I said before. Not only should you adhere to the posted speed limit when driving in wet weather conditions, you should drive considerably slower than you normally would. Wet roads are very dangerous, and your vehicle's reaction time is much slower when it's raining. Reduce your speed is imperative in rainy weather. Turn on the headlights. Turn on the headlights while you're driving in the rain, even if it's only misting. Or turn on your vehicle headlights will increase both your visibility and the driver's ability to see your car on the road. So it may seem like a common sense thing for some people, but people do forget to turn on their windshield wipers in light rain, and most cars' windshield wiper speed is adjustable to clear the moisture from your glass in a light mist or in a heavy downpour. There are also several products available that can spray or wipe on your glass and clean it a different to defer or the collection of rainwater. Your wipers should be replaced. I'm saying this because we do have sometimes we have various streaking or on our blades, and it causes that scraping. We definitely know at that time it needs to have a change out. Maintaining a greater distance between your vehicle and the car in front of you. Stopping your vehicle will be more difficult when you're driving in the rain. Maintaining a distance of several car lengths between your car and the other vehicle gives a safe distance. So avoid heavy braking. Try to slow down your vehicle by taking your foot off the accelerator earlier than you normally would in preparations to slow down or to stop. Don't use your cruise control. And say for the vehicles, now modern vehicles do have sometimes have cruise control. So this will allow you to using both the gas and brake pedal and keep your attention and that point of braking in tune with your acceleration. Okay. So watch out for standing water. As I said before, standing water is any water that's still water that we may encounter on the road, and driving through still water cause hydroplaning to occur. Hydroplaning is when you lose traction and skid across the surface of the road. To avoid hydroplaning, drive around places where that standing water has collected, and by changing lanes or safely steering around such areas. 6 inches of water can cause a loss of control of your vehicle on the road. Now, letting off your accelerator when hydroplaning is one of the most, because hydroplaning is one of the most common causes of accidents. This can cause your drivers to lose control, and if your car hydroplanes, calmly take your foot off the accelerator and steer in the direction that the front of the car needs to go. Avoid making sudden turns or slamming on your brakes. Ventilating your car. Now, rain causes humidity levels to increase, and you may find that your vehicle's windows become foggy. And when you operate your vehicle, most cars' ventilating systems include a function that will work to reduce this type of fog that develops on the interior of your windows and windshield. I'm not really talking about your AC system. It may be necessary to pull over if you are no longer able to see through your windows. Lower the temperature inside your car quickly by cracking your window, or your AC system doesn't help. Staying still while driving in the rain is simple if you just make a conscious effort to employ some of these safety precautions. So remember, as I just highlighted, just remember that by reducing your speed and distance, cracking your windows, turning on your lights and wipers are some of the simplest and most effective ways of reducing the chances of an accident caused by wet weather. Now, I've just highlighted a little bit on adverse conditions, and we should be mainly focusing on the rain, but these conditions and these driving habits can go forward in any part of your driving. Next step I'm going to look at is a little bit more on emergency and what you should do in the event of emergency while you see emergency vehicle on the road. So for us now, emergency vehicles can be emergency risks lies every day to help us, or anytime we need something, they face a risk just by getting there. And when you're driving, you see emergency vehicle with the lights and sirens on, it's time of emergency. Move over quickly and carefully. Emergency vehicles include ambulance, fire department vehicles, police vehicles, some privately owned vehicles for firefighters or for life-saving agencies. Now, this acronym, siren, is used to protect the safety of officers, emergency crews, and everyone on the road. You can use this acronym to help us get through our day-to-day. Now, siren basically stands for staying alert. And that is to pay attention, keep the noise levels low in your car, and look for more than one emergency vehicle approaching when you hear a siren. You may consider driving with your windows cracked, and this was definitely a advice for all persons that this will allow you to hear emergency siren more clearly and also be aware of pedestrians who may be on the crosswalks or at the edges of the roadway. Now, investigate is also part. Check your rear view mirror, both sides of the vehicle, to estimate the speed of the emergency vehicle and plan your next move. Pull off the highway safely and gradually brake to avoid losing control. React. Now react quickly, calmly, and scan in all directions before pulling over to use the turn and use your turn signal, and don't slam on your brakes. So enter. Now enter basically means re-entry. When you're actually about to re-enter, look in all directions, turn on your signal, and gradually merge back into the traffic. No, never stop at a place that does not have enough room to pull over safely, and never allow never follow or try to outrun an emergency vehicle in any form of traffic. Now, persons have been trained to do that, and I will advise anyone to not do that because it's also an offense. So I ask again to follow these few tips to protect the lives of the people who serve in our community. Though you may see them often, it's important to pay attention and move over every time you may be on the road to save the life of someone you love. Next, we're going to look at is actually you on the road with the emergency vehicle. So when you do actually see an emergency vehicle, I want you to slow down, move over a lane if you can, if possible. If traffic or other conditions prevent you from doing so, changing lanes, you must slow down and proceed with caution. When an emergency vehicle is actually approaching you, pull over to the edge of the road, clear of intersections, and stop. Remain there until the emergency vehicle has passed and watch for others. there may be several emergency vehicles traveling along that route. Keep your foot on the brake so the brake lights let the emergency driver knows that you have come to a stop. Okay. By actually staying at least 500 feet behind any moving emergency vehicle, displaying a flashing and warning lights and signaling siren, never race after an emergency vehicle to get through traffic lights. I will repeat that again. Never race after an emergency vehicle to get through traffic lights or any other form of traffic. Never pass a moving emergency vehicle displaying flashing lights unless directed to do so by the police officer or an emergency personnel. So again, I implore on you, by following these few simple rules, we can help emergency workers to get to the scene faster and safer. Now, as I reiterate some of the things that I would have gone through before about the driving in the rain and looking at driving with you being on the road with emergency vehicles, with these few steps and notes that we would have gone through there, these things are just basic things that we have already been doing for a while, and we ask that each and every one of us continues to do them knowingly and just continue to practice them safely. You know, like I'm saying, with our defensive driving, we scan all around our vehicles, be aware of our surroundings, watch for all potential hazards, don't depend on drivers, remember the 3 to 4 second rule, keep our speed down and maintain a good following distance, and always plan an escape route. And of all things, keep our distractions. If we do have to have a distraction in our vehicles, keep them to a minimum. And that's, for me again, just remember siren. Siren will always keep us on the roads safely while working alongside our emergency vehicles. Now, Rochelle, that has it for being for me. So if I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to partnership with Signia and Barbados Service so that we can to continue to help all and make all of us good defensive drivers.
Thank you so much, Constable Eversley. That was so good. We really do appreciate all of the information. And you know, you will hear these are things that you learn. I did not know about the siren. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have up. Sergeant Siebert. Yes, please.
Hi, good evening. Are you hearing me?
Good evening, Sergeant Siebert. You are next up, but before you, we have Dario Greenidge from Shine Automotive. He's one of our first gear partners, and he's just going to tell us a little bit about how we can make sure to take care of our vehicles, maintain them in good working condition, outside and inside.
Hey, good evening to all, and to all a good evening. Everybody can hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can hear.
To be honest, but there's certainly enlightening, a lot of enlightening information, which I think I should be able to share with my customer base as well. So I am very thankful for this opportunity to be here today to join the webinar. Just a little bit about Shine Automotive. We are an automotive solutions company started in 2010. And basically, we offer a range of automotive solutions from the basic interior and exterior cleaning to full detailing, interior detailing, exterior detailing, which would include polishing, paint correction, paint protection. We do vehicle servicing. And recently, we would have actually opened our first retail store, the Auto Box, which caters to, again, the needs of all of our customers by offering a range of automotive accessories, products, and just car care essentials on a whole. We are located in the Carlton Shopping Complex right there in Black Rock. And yeah, I mean, the experience here at Shine Automotive is a pretty interesting one. We try to create a very unique experience for each and every customer. And we are certainly glad to be a part of this first gear initiative, and looking forward to working with each and every new vehicle owner in the future as well.
Thank you so much, Dario. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have, well, before I should say, Dario, if you guys are not following Shine on their social media, you're missing out. You're missing out. Their social media is excellent, and you can see all of the products and services that they offer there. So follow them on their social media. If you're not following us on our social media, you should be following us on our social media also. Next up, we have Sergeant Seabird. Sergeant Seabird Johnson. He is from the Barbados Police Service, and he is going to talk to us today about road safety. Sergeant Seabird, are you ready?
Well, good. A very good evening to you and good evening to all of your listeners. I hope you're hearing me clearly.
We're hearing you loud and clear.
Good. So very good evening to all. I must thank my good colleague. His introduction there was great. His presentation was outstanding. He would have touched lots of issues, and I hope that all persons listening, tune in this afternoon, will take the lead and understand where he's coming from. That was safety, especially in rainy weather. Something we want to need to just draw the attention of persons. You will find that when there's a reduction in visibility or even wet conditions, when it's raining, you will find that person use hazard lights. That's a no-no. Be safe from using hazard lights when there's a reduction in visibility. And again, speed distance on wet roads. On an average of 60 kilometers an hour, your distance should be at least 3 car lengths for braking purposes. An average length of a car about 15, some cars about 10 feet. And if you're driving at 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 3-4 car lengths, good. Do not tailgate vehicles, especially during wet conditions. Vehicles can skid. I remember we have oil being transported on the streets, especially at roundabouts. You will find that some spillage on our streets, and water and oil, the mix are not too good. So we're asking you, that's one thing we need you to be a little aware of. Another thing, the law speaks of flashing lights and sound of sirens. You will find that if you are responding to a report, an emergency, you will find persons will continue driving and driving slow, but the law says pull over and stop. Pull over and stop. Persons who drive public service emergency vehicles are not allowed to misuse sirens. When you are driving an emergency vehicle, there are certain things you must take into consideration. We've noticed recently that even our own were involved in some collisions while driving and proceeding with these vehicles, and they cause some problems. We just want to remind persons to be on the lookout. I've been driving police vehicles now for as long as I can remember, almost 40 years, and I've had 3 accidents. One, a tourist crashed into the front of my vehicle. The second one, a tourist crashed into the rear of the vehicle, and the third one, a man ran into the side of the vehicle. Thank God I was not at fault in any of these accidents. Rochelle, I didn't cause any of the accidents. Please, someone collided with me at all times. And I've been driving police vehicles. Good, for 40 years now, huh? About almost 40 years I've been driving police vehicles. So I'm an old man and I've been there for a long time. But on a safe side, though, on a serious part of it, you've noticed that private ambulances, when they approach traffic lights, if the light is on green, you should approach with caution. If it's on red, you should stop and then proceed with caution. Remember, some of these vehicles, the air conditions are there. It would cushion the sound of that approaching ambulance. And some of these ambulances, and even fire trucks, you don't even hear them until you see them. So it's always good to use your mirrors at all times whilst you are there. The 2 side mirrors and that rearview mirror might save your life and lives of others. Tailgating emergency vehicles, that's something we want to address that wasn't addressed, I noticed. If you would find that persons would have an emergency. Your family would have called an ambulance for assistance to take you to the hospital, your relative or someone related to you to the hospital. The ambulance is speeding, going ahead, and you are tailgating the ambulance. If that ambulance had to stop suddenly, what's going to happen? You're going to be in problems. So just beware, that's not allowed, but it's something I want to draw to your attention. If you at any time at your home and you encounter problems, sickness with any members of the family, and there's no ambulance available, and you are trying your utmost to get that person to have medical treatment, call 211. That's our emergency line. We will provide an escort for you from your house or as close as possible and assist you in getting that one to have that medical treatment. That's something that I'm sure that lots of persons not aware of. But if you can call 211, we'll have the nearest vehicle in the area, collect you, and then it can escort you to have that person, to allow that person to have some medical treatment. So I believe that's enough there said, I believe, for emergency vehicles. Now we're speaking of road safety. There are things of concern where persons speak about pedestrians and pedestrian crossings. Pedestrian, I have never seen a vehicle in a hospital bed all my life. And I'm not sure if I'll see one, but I just want to remind persons, do not take it for granted that you should cross on a green light for motorists. At the area there of Bridge Street and Marhill Street Junction, you will find persons walking across a green light at risk. That's a no-no, and you as a new driver especially, be on the alert. These guys just walk across your vehicle. Even a police smart vehicle, they said to me, if you can't wait, hit me. I have some reservations I won't say about it there now, but I just want to remind persons I've never seen a vehicle in a hospital bed. Recently, I was traveling on Broad Street. The road was wet, and some visitors crossed between Scotiabank and the Costa building there on the side. The road was wet, and I played brake. A van, a 14-seater, turned on its side on the wet road, so I wouldn't avoid crashing into those persons. But as I said, as a new driver, there are things you must look out for inconsiderate pedestrians. Another area of concern at a pedestrian crossing, you will find that motorists approach a pedestrian crossing while a pedestrian is on the crossing. The first thing they will do, stop and activate their emergency hazards. I agree. The driver approaching should exercise some caution, being that the hazard lights are there to gain, so you can recognize it's a hazard and you must approach with caution. But it's also a danger. If I'm approaching an area that I'm not familiar with and I see a vehicle with flashing lights, I have the right to overtake that vehicle once it's safe to do so. Sometimes it's better to allow a pedestrian to cross on their own. It is better to allow a pedestrian to cross on their own. I've been seeing it for years as well. You will find that pedestrians just come to a junction, come to an intersection of the pedestrian crossing, and just dash across the road. The law requires you should raise your hand to indicate to the drivers of your intention you need to cross, but then both drivers should stop once the pedestrian is on the road and then is at the crossing, and then they will allow to proceed with caution. They will allow to proceed with caution. I don't recommend these flashing headlights can cause some concerns. You would notice that on exiting roundabouts, entering roundabouts and exiting roundabouts, there are pedestrian crossings. Make sure that when you're entering roundabouts, you reduce your speed, and when you're exiting, you reduce your speed as well. You will also find persons are driving on the ABC highway, like for example, going towards what we call Bussa, JTC Ramsey Circle. On the right-hand side, a driver will stop on the right side to set a pedestrian down, a passenger down on the left. Now, while he's getting out, other persons are overtaking once the road is clear. So you, as a young driver, I'm appealing to you, do not stop on the right side of the road next to the Jersey barriers to set a passenger out of your vehicle. Before you reach the intersection, pull over on the left side of the road, let the person safely disembark from your vehicle on the left, and then you can continue on your journey. That will cost you about 2 minutes, and that can save a life. So these are some things that we're asking. You're on the streets, your vehicle broken down. Try where possible to get it on the left side of the street, even if you ask for assistance to get that vehicle on the left side of the street. Remember, we drive on the left-hand side of the road. And you'll find on the right-hand side when that vehicle is broken down there, especially on the highway, it might be a problem. So there are some things we want to ask you to be aware of. Other safety tips, I just want to remind you, you would find that females especially, sorry Rachel, taking the little ones to school, had them standing between the front seats of vehicles. I went to an accident a few years ago in St. Philip. Still alive today. The reason being the person in the center of that rear seat wasn't wearing a seatbelt. When the driver applied brakes suddenly after collision, he went straight forward onto the dashboard, punctured his head, and that was it. Do not allow your little ones to stand between the front seats of vehicles. The law requires that all persons to be seated and fitted with seatbelts. That's the requirement. You could be reported for have those little ones standing there. Parents with little ones, the law requires they should be in car seats for their own safety. Do not allow anyone, all persons, to be seated and fitted to drive around with anyone holding a little one in their arms at any time whilst you are on the streets. Do not allow it. It's not allowed. So please remember that. Other areas of concern, we're speaking of lighting. We spoke earlier of lighting, and remember we have different lighting times. The first quarter is 6:30, the second quarter is 7, and the last quarter is 6. I just want to remind persons that's 6 p.m. Till 5, 7 till 5. You will find that even whilst you're on the streets in the morning, sometimes it gets kind of dark. 5 o'clock would have gone, approaching 6. Let common sense prevail. Turn on your lights so that your presence will be seen there on the roads at all times, and that's for your own good. We had some problems again with cycles on road 3 and 4 abreast. That's a no-no. The law requires 2 abreast at all times. So you just want to remind persons of their safety and the safety of others. You might be trying to overtake a group of guys riding bikes, and then you end up in the path of oncoming traffic, then there's a problem. Do not overtake a cyclist or more than one cyclist in a corner. That's a danger. Do not overtake no one in a corner. You don't know what's oncoming, whether it's be a huge vehicle, a small vehicle. Head-on collision can cause lives. So these are some things we want to remind you about. And again, it's imperative you as a young driver, make sure you adhere to all traffic rules and regulations. You were taught by your driving instructors of the rules and regulations. Don't think it for once because you are able to pass your test. You are so qualified to drive at high speeds and do things which you were never thought. It takes time to a well-prepared driver. It will save some lives. It may save your life as well. I don't know, Rochelle, if I've missed anything that you need me to clarify, then you can say to me.
No, thank you very, very much, Sergeant Sieber. I know you're going to stay on with us, and we're going to take some questions. And if anyone wants to, they can either ask their questions in the chat, or they can, well, yes, they can use the chat to ask any questions that they want to. I have to say again, thank you very, very much to the Barbados Police Service for accommodating us. I have a question here. Yes.
Good afternoon. Thanks very much to the presenters. Very, very, very good presentations. My question is, I think I remember a couple of years ago, a vehicle came to a pedestrian crossing and the driver maybe didn't indicate that there was someone on the crossing, and a vehicle came, overtook and hit the pedestrian. What is your guidance on what indication a driver at pedestrian crossing should do for persons who are behind?
We've noticed that
hand signals
is a thing of the past. And the law requires
should do for
signals. The
persons
law never spoke indicators.
who are behind.
But if persons, you can lower your windows and guess you have a signal of you are taught when you are having your test how to ask persons to stop or slow down or even turn right or left. You can use that method. But again, it's for the safety of the pedestrian to make sure that all vehicles will have come to a complete stop before he or she proceed to cross. You know you'll step from the side of the road into the path of the first vehicle that stopped, but you should always make sure that no other vehicle is overtaken before you make that extra step. To cross, you know you'll step from the into the path of the.
We have a question in the chat from Carl. Thank you very much for your question, Carl. The question is, what is the protocol when emergency vehicles are approaching red lights? Good question.
No, like I said before, some of us at our department were guilty of that recently. If you approach a red light, red all over the world means stop. The only time I've seen someone driven through a red light and wasn't prosecuted in Brooklyn is at a funeral. Funerals, that's the only time you can drive through a red light. Yeah? Because it's a procession. But here, any emergency vehicle approaching a red light, you should stop. If you're approaching a flashing red light, you should stop. The law requires you should stop once it's red. Flashing. If you're driving an emergency vehicle, you stop. Make sure that persons who have the green light recognize you, and then they stop and you proceed onwards. You are not given permission to drive through a red light. Siren does not give you permission to speed through a red light. Like I said, you stop and then you proceed with caution.
Thank you very much, Sergeant Siebert. I have a question. My question is going to be very, very specific. I'm coming up BET Hill. Everybody know where BET Hill is, right? I'm coming up BET Hill and I am in the right lane. So I'm going around as if I could go back down the hill, go around the roundabout, go back down the hill. However, I want to keep straight on to Parkinson. There's a vehicle on my left side out of the merge way. Who has the right of way right there?
Let me explain something to you. If you're coming up BT Hill and you're going down to Bussa, stay in the left lane. Because if you're on the right lane, hold on, if you're right, you can proceed. But if you're on the right lane, that right lane should take you around the roundabout, like you said, to head back to downhill, back down to BT again. But if you're on the left lane, you have the right of way to continue onwards. You are only allowed to give it if that person come from CBT, circle the roundabout, going into Parkinson Field, then you'll give it to that person making the turn around the roundabout. But if both of us came up BT Hill and going towards Bussa, mind you, there's nothing that will prevent me from continuing onwards.
Okay.
Nothing.
Yes, sir. We have another question.
Rachel, I have a question for you.
Please.
A question. Going down BT Hill, have you ever seen, you know what the speed limit going on BT Hill?
The speed limit going down there is actually slower than any space.
No. I asked you, what's the speed limit going down BT Hill?
I want to say that the speed limit is 50.
No. You work at an area where you had to traverse BT Hill for years. And I'm sure you and most persons on this chat have not seen two signs on both sides of that road saying 40 kilometers. Have you seen them?
I believe it was something like that there.
I just want to be sure that you've seen them, because they've asked that question elsewhere, and a lot of persons have never seen those signs, which says 40 kilometers going down that hill.
We're gonna look out for it, but you are absolutely correct. I do remember that space on the highway is actually a slower spot than the rest of the highway. We have one
cross coming from upper and lower Upton Road. You know that they call it Highway R. I don't know where that Highway R came from, but I know it's Upton Road. The highway intersect the Upton Road. So to me, it's still Upton Road. If you're coming from the right-hand side, turn into Garfield, Service Roundabout, or if you're coming from the left Upton, going towards Wildy, that cross there. Persons coming down that hill too quickly. And you know, that's the reason, that's our concern. the speed at which person's coming on that hill. Should only be 40 kilometers an hour.
Yes.
Should
Okay,
only
we
be
have
40
one
kilometers.
more question here that we're going to take. Are the police still enforcing the cell phone law? The $2,000 fine doesn't appear to be a deterrent.
Listen, I have a policeman who worked with me in my office here. He specializes in cell phones. That's his specialty. And up to today, I've written on some applications for persons to be prosecuted for driving and using cell phones. It appears that the $2,000 is not, but once it's before me, you are my friend, and I know you are not going to drive and use a cell phone. They called me, Sergeant Johnson, it was caught driving a cell phone. They said, oh, my dear Cody, I'm sorry. But we must send a strong message, though, honestly. Persons are taking it for granted and just driving and using cell phones at will.
Yes, and that is very dangerous.
As you know, that was introduced because we had an influx of accidents, real collisions, and when we found out persons were trying to hide it, but it's easy. How come you just driving cool and crash into a rear of a vehicle? A deterrent. That cell phone was a problem. And another problem too, what we can say to you, ladies driving on the road and making up their faces on mornings. You see it? Have you never seen that?
That's
yes,
impossible. That doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't.
I said you can find them just holding up the face and then run into the rear of a vehicle. Not, they haven't observed that the vehicle is stopped. It happened, and some of them were bold enough to admit that it happened.
Wow.
That's the way it is. So we're speaking of safety. So we want to implore all of our new drivers to look out for these things, to don't get caught up in these kind of things. They will cause you some problems. They will cause you to be prosecuted, and then the fines. You're paying your company for a vehicle. My friend, and then BlackRock is preparing the cleaning, and then you will pay the courts the fines. So unless you have good money, then don't try it though. On a serious note, it's not good.
It is. You're absolutely correct about that. I just want to say we're just a little shy of our hour, but I think this has been so good, so comprehensive. Are there any more questions? Anyone has any other questions? If we don't have any other questions,
we have 10 more minutes that we can deal with in if they have questions.
Yes, I know we have 10 more minutes. We can take questions. One other spot, and it's so funny that you actually you spoke about that Upton section.
Mm-hmm.
If I am coming from Carter's, yes, I tend to take what would be the left lane if I'm trying to get, say, to the gymnasium. I take the left lane, I come to a stop, I look up the hill, I wait until that lane is empty, because that lane would allow me to only have to cross over one lane. But I find that people are coming on the right side, and then they want to get over to the gymnasium. They now are going to drift over into two other lanes to get that done. I think a lot of driving is common sense, and I've had you in my ear for a long time. So I know that you have to exercise the common sense. So for that area specifically, what should be done there?
What you said is correct. But you see these things, ZRs, they are the problems. They cause government to introduce this, what do we call it, overtaking on the left, jam busting. And now they come up on that right lane and they force around everybody. Mind you, there's a bus stop on the left. So they go come around there and come across the lanes coming from Upton, those coming down the hill, you from that side. So there are 3 lanes they're going to try now to get back there. Few of them will come up in that left lane, like you said, hold the left lane and wait. They come up where there's a spot. They just push their way through. So these are some things in that we must look for. I've noticed there's a comment here coming from University Hill going towards Spring Garden Highway or Mighty Glen Highway. Both lanes can take you into there. Both lanes now are allowed to take you into Mighty Glen Highway coming down University Hill. Once before, the left lane would take you up to Black Rock Road, and the right lane would take you onto the Mighty Glen Highway or turn right to head down Highway 1. But now the ministry, since they've readjusted things there, both lanes can take you onto Mighty Glen Highway. from you. But at these roundabouts, you need to be extremely careful. You must be careful. Common sense is not common, and some persons are always in hurries, always in a big rush and hurry. That's why most accidents are occurring at roundabouts, just to get one car space ahead of the other person.
Yes, definitely. And as we are talking about vehicle maintenance, we also have to talk about making sure that your license plates are clear and that you can see them well, because if they are not, you will be pulled over by the police. I can attest to this because it
now,
has
me explain some things. You know about to buy your new vehicle. You
Yes.
see there's some diagonal plates, these plates. You find all kind of writings.
The three-dimensional plates.
Yes, and then you find these all kind of pretty looking registration number plates. You know, you could report it for all of it. If you start to report, I don't know how many people will be in court. The law speaks of black background with white lettering, or yellow reflective background with black writing. There's a size, let's use inches, 3.5 inches by 1/2 inch thick. You will find persons with registration number plates that's almost 1.5 inches sometimes, and you can't recognize them. And then your pet peeve, turning brown. I was driving behind a vehicle a few days ago. I was one car length behind the vehicle to recognize the registration number. The number is black. At some stage, you will recognize that your number plate needs to be changed. You have to wash the car. You have to look at your registration number. It's brown. Law speaks of black and white. And if you report it, for God's sake, don't say that the police are. Don't say the police are. Just do these things that are right. Make sure the persons who are making registration number plates are legit, and explain to those persons you need black lettering, black background with white lettering, or yellow reflective background with black lettering and white in the front with black. If you are doing that, I'm sure there's some persons who do not get involved in making these registration number plates that are problems, that are not in compliance with the law. So let's hope that persons can do that, and that should be cool.
Yes, we
now
have
somebody asking now, will we get pulled over? Do we have a update sticker?
Updated sticker, yes.
The police would not report you for that anymore, because it appears they're starting before you're ready. We started something. We have was registered in 20 and I got mine. That was September last year, and I got mine in May this year. My sticker, in February this year. So there you go. That's from September down to February. But we won't report you for that. But make sure you have a sticker, and you will find that there's some clever persons who were stealing stickers before. But we have a way of catching them. So apparently that has died down somewhat.
That's good to know that you guys have been able to put a pin in that, and maybe to cut it off totally. That's good to know. I want to thank everyone for their time, for coming in with us. Please follow us on our social medias. We are going to make sure to have some of this information available to you, and we're going to be also doing a few more of these in conjunction with the Barbados Police Service. Thank you guys so much. Have an enjoyable evening, and remember, think outside the bank.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm sure I enjoyed my time here. I had some problems before, but I'm up and going. But however, on the next time around, I'll be there. So all those who participated, all those who are listening, it was a pleasure, of course. And to Brother Eversley for assisting, and he did a great job as well. So thank you once again, Rachel.
Sorry, myself. Thank you so much.
All the best.